Earlier this century, a dancer would become a legend in his lifetime, promised on his deathbed to return to Earth as a stallion. His name was Nijinsky.
At the moment, one from last, just in front of Meadowville.
He's a very fine, strong, powerful individual.
And Nijinsky coming to pulverize from Nijinsky from Dassara. And Nijinsky coming up on the outside. He's drawing up level. Lester's going to have to get at him. It's going to be a close thing.
Nijinsky is a big horse. Very fine, yes.
Charlton is with him. Nijinsky now just coming out. And at the moment, Lester has passed him. I think he's just behind Charlton. And an easy winner of the derby. Nijinsky the winner. Cheers, second.
In this group of horses carrying the green, lemon, and red colors of one of the richest men in the world is the most valuable horse in history. The fastest horse over a distance England has ever seen. A horse that brought together in his career England, Ireland, Canada, and the United States. A horse that in 1 year became a legend. A horse called Nijinsky. Nijinsky became the first horse for 35 years to win the 3 great races of the English Triple Crown. And the name Nijinsky, for the second time this century, became a household word. In September 1968, when he flew here to the Irish stables of Vincent O'Brien, he was worth the $84,000 paid for him. In 2 years, he multiplied that value by at least 77 times. And much of the credit must go to O'Brien and his staff, who have, from Tipperary, earned themselves the reputation of running one of the best racing stables in Europe. Early morning, the first string of horses moves off. It's the first stage in a process that will prove over a year or so whether a horse has the speed and staying power to match others on the race course. Each day the routine is the same. Twice a day out for exercise and training, and the rest of the day resting and feeding in their stalls. Like athletes, the horses are dedicated simply to winning. There's nothing in a day in the life of an O'Brien horse that is accidental or unplanned. Vincent O'Brien and his assistant oversee the day's activities, which begin in the covered ride for each of the 2 strings of horses. When O'Brien is away, he has to watch, check, and carry out what each horse shall do for his morning's exercise. For O'Brien, it's a painstaking, deliberate business. For each detail, each small variation in the routine is measurable in a horse's record at the racecourse. And when so much money is involved in such a short performance, each detail becomes doubly important.
Steady, steady, steady.
There are some 55 horses in the stable, representing millions of pounds in value.
Continue to trot if you can.
To win, they must be obedient, tractable, strong, and in the peak of condition. And this can only happen if the grooms, the work riders, and the trainer work closely together, putting together facts about health, stamina, weight, and ability that only they can know. Trainer Vincent O'Brien.
There was a moment when I was definitely worried about him, again due to his temperament. But with patience and good boys that I have here, particularly two good riders, they, as I say, and with patience, eventually persuaded the horse to take things a little easy and accept life as he was meant to accept it.
But this is only part of the training. For a yearling, there's much to learn. The rein, the bit, the bridle, the saddle, more than simply learning to run fast. First comes the ABC of racing, getting used to handling, obeying instructions. And here in the lunging ring, being taught the discipline of the bridle. Nijinsky went through this process from September 1968 onwards. A feature of the training ground is the sawdust strip, also the two peat moss gallops. The gallops are said to be the most exacting in the world.
What they're doing now is they're learning how to go in a string, one behind the other. They're learning to canter. On a sort of
assistant trainer, Michael Quantz.
Like this, it's very useful for keeping them in a straight line. It teaches them to go straight. A yearling's natural reaction or instinct is to go all over the place, as far away from anything that he doesn't like the look of as he can. I call that very satisfactory, actually.
This is what the care and patience is all about. 2 short minutes of finely tuned speed at the racetrack. The Dewhurst Stakes at Newmarket, Nijinsky's first English race, the only real test by which trainer, owner, and racing manager alike can judge whether the gamble in money, time, and planning has paid off. This was where the great partnership between Lester Piggott, the finest jockey of his day, and Nijinsky, the finest horse of his day, began. The beginning of a legend.
Trainer, first of all, he's looking for soundness, and an unsound looking yearling is no proposition for a trainer. Or for
David McCall is the racing manager responsible for Nijinsky.
an awful lot depends on what you've got in your pocket, as it were, you're going to spend. Because if you've got a lot of money to spend on a yearling, you'll have already studied the pedigree in the catalogue, and you've probably gone through 300 yearlings, and there may be only half a dozen or 12 that are going to fit. Everyone's got in the back of their mind what a perfect horse looks like. I'm not particularly keen on very big horses, and so I'm a little biased in that way, except Nijinsky is a big horse, and he was a very fine yearling.
Now making it any more, gentlemen. Have you done with us? Now time then against Roy Caldwell here. Bid, if you will, at 1950.
Whatever success I've had in the buying of horses has been due, firstly, to the desire to succeed and buy the best, and secondly, to be prepared to travel. Now, in the case of Nijinsky, Mr. Engelhardt, he asked me if I would go up to Canada to look at one horse. And I couldn't advise Mr. Engelhardt to buy him because he had a slight malformation. And for that reason, I had to write him off. While I was there, I had a look at the other yearlings that Mr. Taylor had coming up for sale. And amongst them was a colt by Northern Dancer. And he certainly appealed to me as an individual.
E.P. Taylor bred Nijinsky.
Well, it'd be pretty hard to choose between Nijinsky and his sire, Northern Dancer. I wouldn't say that Nijinsky's qualities can be predetermined in any other mating. The rule we usually follow is to breed horses of finest qualities together and hope for the best. Native Dancer won 20 out of 21 races. Hyperion was a great racehorse and a great sire. Mahmoud, and so on. I think horses have been slowly but surely improving over the centuries, but it's slow. But those are all great horses, and so is Nijinsky.
It was here that Nijinsky spent the first year or so of his life, toughened by the piercing cold of a Canadian winter and nourished by the bluegrass of Kentucky introduced by E.P. Taylor. Trainer Vincent O'Brien.
And I went from there to Saratoga, where I met Mr. Engelhardt, and said that I'd seen the horse he'd asked me to go specifically to see and advised me not to buy him. But I said that there is a colt there by Northern Dancer, out of Flaming Page, and I said, I think that's the horse you ought to buy. And that turned out to be Nijinsky.
And they're off. And as they start to settle down, Nijinsky is well away, so too is Interceptor on the far
This
side.
was Nijinsky's first big race, 1970. The 160-year-old 2,000 guineas run at Newmarket, where Charles II started racing in 1665. All O'Brien's planning had been directed at this race, the first race of the English Triple Crown. Run over a mile, the Guineas is a very fast race. The two races still to come, the Derby and the St. Leger, are much longer and therefore require stamina as well as speed. But for Nijinsky, carrying green, yellow, and red colors, this was a baptism of fire, racing against some of the fastest 3-year-olds in Europe.
Almost at halfway now. Amberama still just the leader from Without Fear towards the outside of the field. Yellow God the leader nearest to the rails. Nijinsky going very easily just on the outside of Yellow God and with a perfectly clear passage to come through. They've got 3 furlongs to go now, and it's still Amberama from Without Fear, Nijinsky, Yellow God over on this side, then Shiny 10th. Huntercombe running on well on the far side, and with 2.5 furlongs to go now as they come up to the bushes, it's Yellow God on the rails. Nijinsky cruising up beside him with Amberama on the outside, coming under pressure. Huntercombe is running on quite well on the far side, but with a quarter mile to go as they run down into the dip, is Nijinsky coming through almost on a tight rein from Yellow God on this side, then Amberama, then Huntercombe, Joshua running on strongly on the far side. They're coming up the hill out of the dip now, and it's Nijinsky from Yellow God, but no danger whatever to the favourite, just having to be shaken up. Nijinsky from Yellow God, Amberama, Soleil running on right to third at the post. Nijinsky's the winner, Yellow God second, Soleil third, then Amberama.
In horses like that, they have the influence of native dancers through Northern Dancer. And
Charles Engelhardt, millionaire owner of Nijinsky.
if you go back a generation, I think Nijinsky is one of the few horses that we've ever had that I believe has 8 classic winners as grandsires.
Nijinsky's pedigree is impeccable. He's related directly to most of the greatest horses of the century. This, for example, is the English Derby of 1933, won by his great-great-grandsire, Hyperion. This tough little horse ran under the colors of Lord Derby, whose ancestor, the 12th Earl, started the English Derby in 1780. Hyperion later became the greatest stallion of the century. Mahmoud was another great-great-grandsire. The Derby of 1936, which this grey won, still stands as the fastest time recorded at Epsom. Only his great-great-grandson, Nijinsky, has seriously challenged it, coming within less than a second 34 years later on a course which regular watering and dressing makes theoretically 5 seconds slower. The American side of his family is equally impressive. This is the 1935 Kentucky Derby, won by another great-great-grandsire, the blinkered Omaha. Omaha went on to win the American Triple Crown. Not as great an achievement as the English, for the American crown does not test both speed and stamina to the same degree, but still, a feat rarely achieved. Native Dancer, Nijinsky's grandsire, nearly won all 3, but was beaten into second place in the Kentucky Derby of 1953. Nijinsky's line also includes Nyarko, who sired 485 foals, over half of them winners. His sire, Northern Dancer, the leading all-time Canadian money winner. And Flaming Page, his dam, who with Northern Dancer also produced Minsky, currently at O'Brien's and an early fancy for the English classics of 1971. In Nijinsky, the influence of these great horses comes together. In the King George and Queen Elizabeth Stakes, he met horses of all ages for the first time. Among them Blakeney, the winner of the 1969 Derby, and Carabas, the winner in 1969 of the famous Laurel International in America. After this race, champion jockey Lester Piggott said, "He is without doubt the greatest horse I've ever ridden."
Lester Piggott cruising there on Nijinsky. He's being chased by Jeff Lewis on Blakeney, the 1969 Derby winner, but Nijinsky is going on the bit at the moment as they come to the furlong marker. It's Nijinsky going clear, the others absolutely flat out, and Blakeney under pressure, but Lester Piggott having no worries with this one at all. He's just cruising home now. He looks over his right shoulder, sees no possible danger. What manner of horse is this? Nijinsky just cantering away with the King George the Sixth and Queen Elizabeth Stakes. Nijinsky the winner, Blakeney is second. Now really only a one-horse here. This is a one-horse race. Coming to the 2 furlong now.
The Irish Sweeps Derby, 1970. Nijinsky is the only horse in history to have won this race as well as the 3 great English classics.
Here comes Nijinsky, positively pulling his way up towards the leader, and it's Nijinsky with Lester Piggott challenging at the same time on Meadowville. Nijinsky now is forging ahead from Meadowville, and it's Nijinsky going away from Meadowville. Master Guy's moving into 3rd place, but striding up towards the line. It's Nijinsky clear, effortlessly clear of Meadowville in 2nd place. Master Guy's 3rd, and at the line, that's the result. Nijinsky the winner, Meadowville 2nd, and Master Guy 3rd.
Well, he has everything one wants in a horse, really. He's a big, well-grown, intelligent, sensible horse with clean limbs, good heart room, a bold outlook, takes in everything that goes on around him. He has a good wide forehead, ears set well apart. You can see sensible. The whole thing about him is sensible and intelligent, inquiring as well. He's never had an unsound day in his life. Has a tremendous engine room. very strong through his heart, very sound, clean legs, strong right through him. He's a strong horse. Whenever he walks into the paddock at the races, people say that the others appear dwarfed by comparison. He's a big horse, certainly, but he's perfectly proportioned, well balanced, and he has that air of presence about him that makes him stand out in the crowd. Well, he stands very well, but he runs even better.
He's a very fine, strong, powerful individual with real drive and punch about him. In fact, a bit more sort of zip than was good for his own peace of mind. He's always been rather on his toes out at exercise and on the racetrack, but he had sufficient control of himself. But once he got underway in a race, he became relaxed right away, which was, lucky.
Nijinsky appears always to be in control of the situation.
Owner Charles Engelhardt.
I've never seen Nijinsky really ruffled. Possibly you would say was ruffled before the Irish Derby, but I think it was more boredom and anxious to get on with it than really anxiety of any kind. Because he never seemed, if you look at his eyes always looking around for something to interest him, but never an eye of worry.
The thing is to try and find out what a horse's best distance is, and normally stick to that. But then when you get a horse like Nijinsky, well, it seems that he's got to try to prove himself at all distances. I'm sure he has a best distance, but he has such class and such speed that he's going so easily through his various races that he always seems to be able to find a bit extra when required, no matter what the distance.
This, as I say, is where the genius of Mr. O'Brien comes in. The problems that one comes up against is that you have to, as I say, keep him fresh and happy, and this involves a certain amount of variety, a lot of forethought, trying to think ahead all the time, looking for trouble, avoiding trouble. And then you say he had his first race in April. Well, of course, you would not have him as fit to run in April as he would have been for the Derby in June. This is common knowledge. Everyone would appreciate that. He would have been very nearly 100% at the time of the Guineas, and the Derby was the ultimate objective, and he would have been 100% on that day.
Does not have the highest prize money, but is perhaps the toughest race in the world to win. The Derby is the most famous of all horse races, the central event in the world's racing calendar. It is also an important event in the Queen's diary. She's a racehorse owner herself, and the sport has from the beginning had royal patronage. There are 11 runners, among them 2 others, apart from Nijinsky, strongly backed. A big, ungainly French horse called Gier and Stintino.
On south orders. They're off. Tambourine Man just a little bit slow. Long Till the first to show in front, and now Crybaby. It's Crybaby from Long Till, then Montplaisir, then Approval and Meadowville, and then Nijinsky. Then comes the Swell and Jeer, followed by Stintino, Tambourine Man, and finally Great Wall. They've gone a furlong and a half now, and Crybaby and Long Till are the two leaders, followed by Approval, Montplaisir and Meadowville together. Then comes Nijinsky, then the Swell and Jeer, then Stintino, Great Wall and Tambourine Man. They've got still about 9 furlongs to go. Crybaby and Long Till together. Then close up behind Meadowville and Montplaisir. They've just got about a mile to go at this stage. And it's still Crybaby, from Long Till, then Approval, Meadowville and Montplaisir, then Nijinsky, the Swell and Jeer, then Great Wall, Stintino, and finally Tambourine Man. They're right at the top of the hill now with just about 7 furlongs to go. Crybaby from Long Till, Approval and Montplaisir.
It is said that only perfectly formed horses perfectly manage Tattenham Corner.
They're coming round into Tattenham Corner now and rounding the corner into the straight with 3.5 furlongs to go. And Meadowville and Long Till are the leaders. Long Till on the rails, Meadowville on the outside. Jeer coming up and moving very strongly indeed on the outside of the leading 3. Great Wall has burst through on the inside. Nijinsky is still there, going quite easily just behind the leaders. And Stintino is coming with a great one on the outside. With a furlong and a half to go now, it's Jeer who's taking up the run.
The last burst of speed is one of the things the rigorous Ballydoyle routine has prepared Nijinsky for.
Make his challenge in between them. And with just 150 yards to go, is Nijinsky coming away from Jeer on the far side, then Stintino, then Great Wall, then Meadowville. Is Nijinsky an easy winner of the derby? Nijinsky the winner, Jeer second, Stintino third, Great Wall fourth, Meadowville fifth, then the Swell, then Approval, then Long Till, Crybaby, Tambourine Man.
Champion jockey, Lester Piggott.
Well, in the derby, it was quite an easy race for him, really, because there wasn't too many runners. And there was 3 good horses. It was finished 1, 2, 3. And it was the first time it had been tried over a mile, further than a mile. And we didn't know whether he would stay. He'd never run more than a mile, and because he wasn't going to gallop in a mile and a half in the sea. So when we went to the derby, we didn't know if he would stay or not.
Would the horse stay? The pundits seemed to be of the opinion that if he stayed, the derby was another formality. That he'd never been tried in public over a mile and a half, and he's never been tried here over a mile and a half. Mr. O'Brien always thought he would stay. Said that he thought he would stay. The work riders thought he'd stay. We thought he'd stay, and Piggott thought he'd stay. But there was still the element of doubt there in the mind.
I wanted a horse to run in a relaxed fashion, and that was part of my thinking and training of the horse for the derby. The whole thing was to keep him relaxing himself and not to ask him to find too much speed at any one moment.
Is Nijinsky an easy winner of the derby? Nijinsky the winner. Jeer second.
I was going very easily coming down the turn, but about coming to 2 furlongs from the finish when they really started the race, he was running a bit lazy, and I really had to get into him just to make him, do his best. Once he got in front, he went away, and the second horse was a good horse. It was a good performance.
Great Wall fourth, Meadowville fifth, then the Swell, then Approval, then Long.
Few horses in history have been able to win at any distance from 6 furlongs to 1 mile and 3/4. Each distance needs different qualities. The Triple Crown is the supreme test of greatness.
After the Derby, and for some time afterwards, I didn't even consider advising Mr. Engelhardt to run the horse in the Ledger.
And now up comes Nijinsky with Melody Rock and Medeville. These are the last three.
The 1970 St. Leger, the final race of the English Triple Crown.
And so any moment now, the 1970 St. Leger will be run. Under starters' orders, they're off. With Rockroy just a little bit. Rarity and Windamus are the first to show in front. Rarity and Windamus, followed by King of the Castle.
I earlier in the year had decided that I would forego the thrill of attempting for the 3 classic wins, Triple Crown. But then when the horse raced so easily in his 1.5 mile races and seemed to be able to do it hardly raising a gallop, I couldn't see that there would be any real challenge that would force him to overexert himself. And as we wanted him to have a race between the King George and the Ark, obviously it seemed the thing to do it.
And Medeville is last with under 1 mile to go at this point. And Windamus has slightly increased his lead here, must be 6 lengths in front of King of the Castle and Politico, who are together, 2nd and 3rd. Politico now going 2nd, just in front of King of the Castle, then a gap of...
I don't think that that it was an ideal prep race, but anyhow, he did require a race before the Ark, and there was no other suitable prep race in Europe before the Ark.
About 3 lengths now from Politico in 2nd place, then comes Melody Rock.
It's part of the history of English racing, isn't it? The Triple Crown, I mean, it's one of the great things a horse can do.
We make the turn into the straight now with 4.5 furlongs to go. Windamus is the leader from Politico, Melody Rock, Rarity, Charlton and Rockroy. Nijinsky still sitting at the back of the field with 1/2 mile to go. Windamus on the rails, being joined now by Politico. Nothing between those two. Charlton running on very strongly now, coming up on the outside. Windamus has dropped out of it with 3 furlongs to go. It's Politico and Charlton, with Nijinsky now moving up just behind Charlton, and Medeville is up there on his outside with 2.5 furlongs to go. It's Politico on the rails. Charlton is with him. Nijinsky now just coming out, and at the moment Leicester hasn't asked him anything at all. With 2 furlongs to go, Politico on the far rails. Charlton losing his place. Nijinsky cruising up on the outside, as smooth as silk, with 1.5 furlongs to go. It's Nijinsky cruising into the lead from Politico, and followed by Medeville now in 3rd place, and then Charlton. 150 yards to go, and this great horse striding home Nijinsky from Medeville, challenging strongly on this side. Politico on the far side, at the post is Nijinsky the winner. Medeville 2nd, Politico 3rd, Charlton 4th, Rockroy 5th, Rarity 6th, Melody Rock 7th, then Windamus, and finally King of the Castle.
Owner Charles Engelhardt.
Experience has shown me that there are many advantages to be gained out of modern international racing, and the facilities that make it possible to move a horse rapidly from one place to another, so that, in point of fact, my horses that are stabled at Belmont Park have almost as much traveling time to go to Aqueduct, which is 20 miles away, as they would if they went to Chicago, or, for example, if a horse here went from England to France.
Longchamp, the hippodrome in the heart of Paris. A capacity crowd to see Britain's greatest horse run in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, coming to be regarded as the most prestigious race in the world. The prizes are huge, so it attracts the best horses of all ages in Europe.
It's all 15.
The trainer and racing manager discuss the race.
Be on the extreme outside, as you know.
Yes.
I don't think it matters much.
I'd rather be out there than on the inside rail,
So would I, yes.
where we had our other horse a few years ago.
We have to get shut in.
Yes, he got
Austria.
shut in, Roboco.
He did. I think it's much better
There'll be
than
2
the outside.
pacemakers, probably.
Yes, so it'll be a good gallop. That'll suit Gia, no doubt.
Yes.
And I suppose he really is the horse we got to beat.
Do you think he'll lie up near the leaders?
I'm pretty sure he will.
Yes.
Because he might be a difficult horse to extricate from behind from behind other horses.
So where's he drawn?
He's drawn 9.
Yes. What about the Italian horse?
He's, of course, the other horse one has got to fear, but we have no real line on him. But they do think he's a good horse.
Well, they produce some pretty good horses in Italy. What about Blakeney? Do you give him a sort of a chance for a play?
He couldn't very well, not on the Ascot running. Well, Nijinsky was not a placid horse, and I think there is no doubt that the unusual attention that crowds paid him in the way of clapping him and cheering him and getting around him, photographing him and all the rest of it, definitely played on him. And if he was a more relaxed horse, I don't think it would have bothered him much, but I'm certain it bothered him.
Well, it did, because there were so many photographers and people with cameras and that running all over the place. I never seen anything like it, and I shouldn't have, it'll ever happen again. But it did upset him, because he's a very highly strung horse. It did upset him a bit.
There's no certainty in a horse race. I mean, there could all be donkeys and still something could go wrong, that would stop him winning the race. Something fall down in front of him and he'd fall over it. Today probably is his greatest test.
And of course, this race today, you've got horses of all ages. The same as yesterday?
Ground's good.
Oh, that's good.
No rain overnight.
No excuses?
No excuses.
Good.
The starter's orders, and the horse is being led in now. As you got Blakeney just going in. Sassafras is just going in now with the French champion Yves Saint-Martin. Ortiz is being led up with Antonio Dinardo. And there are 4 to go in now. Only 4 left to go. Nijinsky is to go. Gier is to go. Golden Eagle is to go. And Grandier to go. Now Nijinsky is in. Now Golden Eagle. And there's just Grandier to go. And the 15 runners installed. And they'll be off any second now for the 49th Arc de Triomphe. And this is it. And they're off, and the first to show is Golden Eagle, and it's Golden Eagle who goes to the front from La, the Italian on the inside. Golden Eagle from La, then comes Sassafras and Blakeney, then Ortiz on the outside, then Miss Dan and Beaugency, and then Soyeur, and then comes Gier. In behind Gier is Archara, and then La Bijoute, then Lester Pickett on Nijinsky. Behind Nijinsky is Quinquet, behind Quinquet is Grandier, and last is Stintino. There are only 3 behind Nijinsky at the moment, and La making it a cracking gallop from Golden Eagle. Then comes Sassafras. Just in behind Sassafras is La Bijoute, then Beaugency, then comes Miss Dan, then Archara, Blakeney towards the outside, Soyeur on the inside. Now they've got a sharp uphill climb. They've passed the 1.25 point, and when they reach the top of the hill, they'll reach the milepost, and it's still La, the Italian pacemaker for Ortiz, is making it from Golden Eagle, the pacemaker for Gier, in second place. Then comes Sassafras. Ortiz is right up there on the outside. Then comes Miss Dan on the inner. Then Archara, and then Gier just in behind them with Blakeney. And Nijinsky has still only got 3 behind him in the Arc de Triomphe, and it's La still making it from Golden Eagle, Sassafras and Ortiz. Then there's a gap to Beaugency. Behind Beaugency is Blakeney for England, then Miss Dan. Then comes Gier running round him towards the outside, then La Bijoute, and then Soyeur. And Nijinsky still only got 3 behind him. And they're racing down the hill now, and as they do so, it's Golden Eagle and La, the pacemakers, still cutting it out, with Ortiz making good ground on the outside. Sassafras, the French Derby winner, and Yves Saint-Martin is only just in behind him. Then comes Archara, then Beaugency, then La Bijoute on the inside, and Lester Pickett moving towards the outside on Nijinsky, sitting very comfortably at the moment, although he's got a lot to do. They've got 3 furlongs to run now in the Arc de Triomphe, and it's Golden Eagle in the lead from Ortiz for Italy. Then comes Miss Dan, then Sassafras, then Beaugency, then comes Blakeney on the stand side, and Nijinsky unleashing around, and Gier making ground on the inside now, and it's Miss Dan now in the lead from Gier, and then comes Sassafras in the centre of the course. They're racing up towards the line now, and Nijinsky coming on the stand side with a tremendous run, and it's Nijinsky coming to pulverize, and Nijinsky from Sassafras, and Nijinsky and Lester Pickett from Sassafras. Nijinsky and Sassafras, it's a photo finish! It's a photo finish between Nijinsky and Sassafras. Miss Dan third, Gier fourth. Then comes Beaugency, behind them Blakeney, and then Soyeur, then Archara. Behind Archara was Ortiz.
He was beaten afoot, ostensibly on merit. At first, my first reaction is perhaps he might not have had the best of luck in running. He looked for an opening. It took him 50, 75 yards to find it. He also hung away from the whip in the last 100 yards, either of which manoeuvres could have cost him the foot by which he was beaten.
And Gier making ground on the inside now, and it's Miss Dan now in the lead from Gier, and then comes Sassafras in the centre of the course. They're racing up towards the line now, and Nijinsky coming on the stand side with a tremendous run, and it's Nijinsky coming to pulverize, and Nijinsky from Sassafras.
Bull Hancock at Who's Farm in Kentucky. Nijinsky now stands at stud.
I thought the race was won and lost at the head of the stretch when he was stopped. And then when he got past the horse, past Sassafras, well, he ducked out for some reason or other, unbeknownst. And I think that cost him enough to win the race. It was a very good performance, and we all know that if they run often enough, they get beat.
Then comes Sassafras in the centre of the course. They're racing up towards the line now. Nijinsky coming on the stand side with a tremendous run, and it's Nijinsky coming to...
There was no doubt that he was the best horse in the Arc. Form, I think, proved that conclusively. But the Arc, over the years, has proved a funny race, as the results have shown, and a hard race to win.
That's what racing is all about. I say he was beaten afoot. If things had gone the other way, he would be acclaimed a hero, the winner of the Arc de Triomphe. As it is, he walks away alone and unlauded.
Omar Sharif, racehorse owner.
I think everybody who loves racing is disappointed.
I think the horse ran a magnificent race. I thought a furlong out he was sure to win, and either the effects, in my opinion, of a hard season probably began to take its toll.
I was quite happy, you know. I'm only about 3 furlongs from home. I was about 3 or 4 lengths to make up. The 2 horses in front of me, they were riding them very hard. But when I got to the leader, I didn't have anything left. I did just the last 20 yards. He just stayed to the left. I don't know why. I suppose he was so tired.
I think it's right to be disappointed, because it's very good for racing that there should be a legend, a horse that's a legend.
Absolutely.
Every now and then.
Absolutely.
It keeps the glamour to the thing, and everybody loves a legend.
I feel as if I've had a kick in the guts, you know, but that's racing.
Well, after the Arc, I thought, well, we'll retire him now. But he came back and appeared to be so well. And again, he seemed obviously on form to be so much better than the horses he had to run against, that everybody concerned and connected with him decided that, in fairness to the horse, that he should be allowed to run and wind up his career with a win.
Newmarket, October 1970. The heath at Newmarket, where racing started and where Nijinsky began his career, is to see also his last race, the Champion Stakes. Great horses do much good to racing. Man of War and Kelso in America, Brown Jack, Golden Miller, and Arkle in Britain. Nijinsky was in the same class. He drew the biggest crowd the course has seen since the war, and not for 35 years has a flat horse been applauded down to the start, as Nijinsky was that day.
On Champion Stakes Day, in his last race, it was obvious in the parade, out on the course, that he had had too much of it. He hadn't shown it before in the walking ring, before the jockeys got up. He was perfectly happy, relaxed, himself. But once he saw the crowds milling around and had to get out there on the course and the cheering, clapping, it all just became too much for him. The whole thing was too long, the year, the tension, everything, and well, I think it just makes sense, doesn't it? People go over the top of the hill just like horses.
Mr. Piggott agrees.
Well, in the Champion Stakes, there was a hell of a crowd there, milling around him all the time, and I think he just about had enough. It was worse than he'd ever been, really, at Newmarket.
Come on, the others, hurry up now. All in, come on. Look at 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8.
And they're off.
And Lorenzaccio, the first to show. Lorenzaccio in the black with the white chevron, white cap, Hotfoot on the outside of that, then Faraway Sun, then comes Highest Hope, Sweet Mimosa from Ireland, then Nijinsky with two behind it, and the two behind it are Dictus, and finally Locris, the two of the Frenchmen. And now they've gone a furlong and a half, and it's Lorenzaccio in the lead from Faraway Sun, Hotfoot, Highest Hope.
I don't know, it's just one of those things that any horse can get beaten in any race. There is no certainty in the game.
It is very difficult to keep a horse fit, fresh and happy in himself over a length of period like this, from April to October, and winning.
Practically every time I've been to Newmarket, I've had some kind of a disaster. I don't know why, but it just happens that way.
That's what racing's all about. And if you can't take the knocks, then you've got no business being in it. One thing about racing is there's always tomorrow.
And so, Nijinsky, in defeat, became a legend. In 5 months, he had written himself into the record book of racing, syndicated as a stallion at over $5 million, the most valuable horse in racing history. The horse that brought the English, French, and Irish public crowding to the racetracks. The fastest horse over a distance in England since the war. The horse we will probably see again, only in his children. The horse called Nijinsky.